Hello and welcome. In this video, you're going to be seeing several different things. First of all, a happy little shell. Then you'll be seeing techniques to essentially enumerate process IDs for Windows privilege escalation. It's very possible you have not seen that before. And after that, you will see that we notice an interesting service that we might be able to leverage for further access. So I think you'll find this video interesting. Please enjoy the video. Let's put test PHP, and then let's see if we can actually access it. So apply it, like the box. Like so, and then test PHP. Okay. Awesome. So now we actually have code execution. So the one of my preferred ways is revchess.com. Then we can go to Windows, PowerShell, like so. This should be correct, yeah. And then we can set up a listener, like so. And then partial xt -c for command. Put those in quotations. And there we go. Now we have a shell. So let me go to tasks. And then let's just try to run power up. And let's check our permissions. Immediately not something super interesting. So yeah, let's just run power up, just like that. And let's see. Power up piece 1, and then we can output it right here. So far not super interesting permissions. We still have some credentials, but we only have one shell. We can try to access those later. If it's needed. Ooh. So let's see. This looks interesting. So we can modify this executable to the service right here. Can restart false. Okay, so if we can... Let's take a look at the service. It's currently running. And the executable is here. Now, it's at can't restart, so... If we can't modify this service, then it doesn't matter. Access denied, okay. Yep. And what groups are we in again? So we don't have any shutdown privilege. Okay, so sadly we can't do anything with that. Then I do just think it's win peace time. So yeah. Let me run win peace, and I will let you know if we find anything interesting. Just because it takes such a long time. So I'll be right back. So pretty much went through all of the outputs and could not find anything interesting with power up or win peace. The only thing that actually was interesting that I found with win peace, it shows an until MV2 hash that we already have. Not interesting. But it did show a non-default port, which you can do it like so. So everything here is default, but right here. So we have a port on 8000, that if you check with Nmap, we cannot see externally, right? So it's a port that's only reachable internally. And typically 8000 is some form of web server, which is interesting. Now, it's probably a different... we can see that it's under a different process ID. There are some services that runs under the same process ID, as you can see. So that is interesting. So, so you can do something like, if you want to find out who owns the process, or at least try to, you can use get process ID and then the ID of 4. In this case, it's going to be the, let's see, PID 4. I think this is a system. So the reason why we're checking it is because I want more information surrounding the process, right? Because it's a non-default port, and I want more information on what's running there, possibly who is running there, etc. So process ID is 4 is always assigned to the system process, yes. Including drivers, possible high disk, blah, 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 blah. The system process isn't just one single entity, it's more like a container for various kernel mode components. Put in drivers and services, okay. So it is interesting that it's running under a different process ID. So let's get information about, let's see, get process ID 4. And then, so we can see that system. I think you can do also this to get a lot more information. Select the object, like so. Then it can take all of the properties. And then you'll get a lot more information. So, system ID 4. Process name system. So let's do the same with the other, for instance, the normal website. So, like this. So we can see that the default Apache one is running as the process ID 5616. So we can do the same 5616 and process name HTTPD. You can see that it says that it's a Apache server. It even gives us the version of it, right? So we know that this is the Apache. And we can also see the path to the executable. It says name. I think there's a way to get the username. I might have it in my notes somewhere, but let's see. So we can, for instance, run iCalcos. And we can see that the user service Apache, which is the user that we have shell on right now, pretty much can read and execute and write to this binary, right? So it's pretty obvious that this is running under that context. Let's see. Process. Get process. Something like, I think this is the way you can do it. So, yes. So pretty much like this. And you can get the get owner, and it's actually able to retrieve that it's this specific owner, right? We were able to deduce it using iCalcos, right? It seems the most likely. Process well, we know that the Apache service, when we got a shell from it, right? We landed under the context of service Apache, so that is pretty deducible. We can also run it on the 4, but we don't really get an owner here. I guess it's not able to retrieve that information because it's a system process, but we know at least that it's running under a different user, right? Or at least it's quite possible. And even if we know or didn't know that, it just makes sense to check out because it's the only interesting thing so far. Now, we still have some creds. That makes sense to check out, right? So you can use a tool called runas to essentially do this. But let's check out the service that's running on port 8000 first. And again, it is most likely a web server, and the way that we will be able to interact with it is by using Chisel. So we have to do not that. So we have to be able to essentially port forward it, so that we can interact with it, hopefully in our own browser, etc. Now, if you enjoy how I teach and you enjoy this video and you want to take the OSCP, then what are you doing not being in this course? It's over 15 hours long, and it covers everything that you need. If you're only watching the videos on YouTube, you're missing out a lot, because it's over 15 hours of content. You will get access to the VIP section on Discord, where you can ask me any questions and you can study alongside all the other students in our course. Right now, you will also get access to this checklist right here, which will cover at least 95% plus of all the attacks and all the techniques that you need to know for every single section. Not only initial access, but AD, pivoting, Linux, and Windows privilege escalation. And the goal for you is to reach proficient or at least basic competence on all of them. That's one of the things. We also have this entire roadmap right here, where there's a bunch of action steps and a bunch of cheat sheets inside all of these hyperlinks that I can't show you in this video. But once you have completed all of them, you know for a fact that you will be ready to get into the OSCP exams and absolutely crush it. If that sounds interesting to you, to get all of this in 15 hours plus of video footage of someone who has OSCP, who explains different attacks and techniques and methodologies, it's going to be invaluable to you. Now, some people are confused with the offer. If you're interested in the notes, these are the notes that you will constantly see me use in the videos, right? They're pretty much recommended to go hand in hand with the course, and I use them constantly in the course itself, right? So I think you'll find it extremely useful. That's also why we have the third offer, which is the bundle, where you can buy both of these together for a discount. I hope that clarifies things. Best of luck on your OSCP journey. I really hope this will be massively useful to you. I'll see you in the next video.